2 new members. But for us to have a meeting, we've got to have 4 members present. I've got 4 members present. Problem is, some of your cases, one of my members hasn't heard your case at all, so he's not eligible to participate today. So the following cases, I'm going to call these out, and just the appellants. I know there's opposition here for some of them, and I wish I could do something different, but I've got to postpone these cases until I have 4 members eligible to participate. So the first case I've got is on our agenda today. It's the first case over on Bidwell Road, Janice and Roman Reese. Mr. Reese, we're going to postpone this case till May the 7th, which is our next meeting, 2 weeks, 2.5 from today. It'll be in this room. Everything else is the same. Nothing changes. What I'll do is send the board member who was not present a copy of your case so he can watch it and see what happened and be eligible. And this will be true for the other cases I announced because I've got several. And then in the meantime, we would postpone it to May 7th, but we can move it to a later date if that's better for that. But 5/7 is what we'll do. So I know there's some folks, and I see some folks that I know were here last time. So case 1 on the agenda, that's going to be deferred till May the 7th. It'll be in this room at 1 o'clock. Okay, so that one, you guys are free to go, or you can stay and watch the rest of these cases. Okay, the next case is on page 2, and it's case 39. Mr. Cuthbertson, I know you're here. I saw you at the back. There you are. Yes, sir. This case had some testimony at the last meeting, so I've only got 3 members eligible to participate. Hey, Mr. Michael, let me go ahead. Let's just heal that case just for a second. I'll go on to the next one because I've got several that are in this position. Let's see. Okay, so for cases that were scheduled to be heard today, the first case that I'll need to postpone to 5/7 is case 2026-19. Concrete Investment. Is the applicant present for the case on 1711 River Road? I have not heard from that gentleman. All right, we'll go ahead and postpone his case anyway. Are there any parties here at all present about that case? Okay, seeing none, we'll move that to 5/7. Ms. Andrews, good news for you. You postponed your case on March the 19th, so no one heard it. So it's a brand new case. We'll hear it today, in its order. Ms. Ingham, unfortunately, I know you brought a lot of folks with you, but unfortunately, you're gonna have to come back May the 7th. That'd be true of folks that are present in opposition to Ms. Ingham's case. I've got to have 4 eligible members to even hear the case. And that'll be May the 1st as well. May 7th, excuse me. Ms. Ingham, does May 7th work for you? We can do a later date if you wish, and the reason I'm asking, it's okay. I mean, we'll schedule you for 5/7 anyway, but if for some reason 5/21 works better, let Ms. Christie know. But if for all the parties present for this case, if it becomes 5/21, our office will send out new letters to let you know. So we'll send out a new notice and say, hey, this meeting will be heard on the 21st. But if it's for 5/7, this is your notice, so to be here. And then that's Ms. Ingham's case, and that is it. I think just so if you're here for cases 1, case number 39. 39, let me just, I got to get that one cleared up. But cases 1 and 19 and 38. We'll see y'all May the 1st.
gives y'all a little bit more cover at the end of the rules of procedure. I don't think it technically should work, but, you know, it would keep you a little bit of a safety net for you guys.
No, this case is all.
I don't remember specifically, but as long as all they came up with.
That was it.
And saying yes.
So
That was it. No, not at all. I recall that it was just that.
more conversation with the.
No, other than them, I'm going to now.
Yes,
So.
yes, so.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just circling back, case 39, are there any parties present besides the appellant on case 39, 106 Rains Avenue? It's at the bottom of page 2 of our agenda. Okay, we've looked at this case. This case had no testimony last time at all. It was the council member came and asked for a deferral, and the applicant came up and said, sure, we'll agree to a deferral, and that was it. So legal's comfortable with us proceeding with that case since nothing else has occurred in that one. Okay, so resetting our first case today will be case 21 at the top of page 2. And if you'll just stay seated, I've got some preliminary stuff to go through first, and I'll call you to come up here. You're welcome to come have a seat at the table. If 21, yes. And if you'll give me just a few moments, I'll get the PowerPoint up and ready, and we'll get started. Okay, getting back on track, welcome everyone to the April 16th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. This meeting will consist of cases that were previously scheduled for April the 2nd and April the 16th. So we'll hear those cases. You have in front of you a copy of today's agenda. I'm going to go through these cases and make some additional announcements, besides the one I just made, but just sort of recap. Case 2026-1 will be deferred till May 7th. Case 2026-29 has been withdrawn by the applicant. Case 2026-39 will be heard here in just a moment. Case on page 4, case 2026-48 for the property at 619 McGavick Pike has been deferred until May the 7th at the request of the applicant prior to the meeting. And case 2026-51 on Douglas Avenue has been withdrawn by the applicant. So those were the cases originally scheduled for April 2nd. And now turning to the April 16th portion of our docket, the following cases are postponed. It'll be case 2026-19 for the case at 1711 River Drive. Case 2026-38 will be postponed until May the 7th. Case 2026-53 has been postponed until May the 21st at the request of the applicant prior to the meeting. Page 8, case 2026-54 at 617 Stockel Street was withdrawn by the applicant. And those are all the withdrawals or postponements. Before we begin a consent agenda, the board does allow elected officials to address the board if they're present and wish to do so. We'll hear at this time from any Metro council members or other elected officials. I do see one council member present with us. Are there any other council members? Good. Come on forward, sir, and if you would, please come forward to the main table there and let us know which case you're here for and your feelings upon it, council member.
Can you hear me? Yes. Madam Chairman and board members, thank you so much for your service, and happy to be here, I think. I'm here on case number 2026-055, which is in Council District 27, the 601 Whispering Hills Drive. I have had no complaints from anybody since this was built in 2021. And looking over the fencing ordinance, the 1712-040 26B, I found just a little confusing. And at my age, that's not hard to do, but I did notice that 6 feet within the remainder of the required foot setback, which I think is kind of what the original owner and builder of this fence maybe was relying on. I'm not sure I understand what that means. And to the extent that maybe you guys know better what that means, having, this is my first fence I've dealt with, but if you think you ever want to clear up that language, I'd be happy to run it through the council.
Hey, would love to.
If somebody's
yeah,
happy to do that. I thought it was also kind of ironic, the council just passed a bill that it's going to require folks wanting to build opaque fences to get a permit, and it's a very easy process of going online and getting the rules and regs down. Ironically, that was done, at least by, as reported by the current owner, that the former owner has an affidavit that said he had actually talked with Metro Codes and looked at the rules. So I think hopefully they try to do the right thing. And again, I've had no complaints, so I hope you might find it hard to support the variance.
Yeah, thank you, council member. Just for the council members of the board, the council did just recently revisit fences. One of the provisions in that bill grandfathered all fences built prior to January 1st of this year, so long as they do not violate visibility or separation distances. This particular fence, we're still traveling under the old rules, but this particular fence, were it today discovered post this ordinance, it would actually, and after we send it to NDOT tells us, hey, that looks good to us, no issues, we would actually allow this to continue without a variance under today's rules. But unfortunately, I've got to process it under the prior rules since it was filed previously. But the good news, and that's what I was going to cover next, this case is actually, we do have a consent agenda, and for the members present, parties present, a consent agenda is an agenda reviewed by the chair or vice chair prior to the meeting, and they look at all the cases on the agenda, and if in their opinion your case meets the criteria for the application you've requested and they feel that testimony would not alter those material facts, they recommend your case for approval or consent to the rest of the board members to be approved by voice vote at the beginning of the meeting. So the next cases that I'm going to call out are cases recommended for the consent agenda, and if you are here in opposition, and only opposition, not the applicants, but if you're opposed to one of these cases that I'm about to call, raise your hand, please, and we will pull it from the consent agenda and we'll hear it in the order listed in the program today. So the first case recommended for the consent agenda is on page 3, and it's case 2026-45. Ms. Monquisha House is the appellant for the property at 2301 Buchanan Street and is requesting a special exception for a daycare in the RS5 zoning district. Are there any parties present in opposition to case 45? And Madam Chair, I see none. So that case has been recommended for consent. The next case recommended for the consent agenda is case 2026-47. This will be at the top of page 4. John and Rita Maggart are the owners of the property located at 512 Neilwood Drive. They're requesting a variance in street setbacks in the RS40 district. Are there any parties present here in opposition to case 47? Okay, seeing no hands, the record will reflect such. The next case recommended for consent is also on page 4. It is at the bottom of page 4, case 2026-49, Philip Marcetta, appellant, Local Fox LLC owner for the property at 620 Green Street, requesting a variance in street setbacks to build 2 single-family residences on the property. Are there any parties present in opposition to case 49 at 620 West Green Street? Okay, seeing no hands. Next case recommended for the consent agenda is on page 5, case 2026-52. The Catalyst Design Group's the appellant And Joyce Baker, the owner of the property at 8010 McCrory Lane, requesting a special exception and a variance from the side setback requirements in AR2A to construct a new daycare center. Are there any parties present in opposition to case 52 on 8010 McCrory Lane? Okay, seeing none, that case is recommended for consent. Okay, turning to today's regularly scheduled items. I've got our case recommended for the consent agenda is on page 8, case 2026-55, Zachary Janicello, the property owner at 601 Whispering Hills Drive, requesting a variance in the street setback requirements in R10. Are there any parties present in opposition to case 55 on Whispering Hills Drive? Seeing none. And then finally, and I do see opposition present, case 2026-57 at 1218 Dickerson Pike. You are opposed. So we'll hear that case in its regular spot on the order. So again, just recapping, if you are here for the following cases, case 2026-45, 2026-47, 2026-49, 2026-52, 2026-55. Madam Chair, that is your consent agenda.
Okay, we're waiting on one of our board members to come back. Oh, you're here, okay. Was that a motion to?
Yeah, move to approve consent agenda items.
Okay. There's a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise their hand. Okay, that passes.
If you are here for the cases I called, just recapping again, cases 45, 47, 49, 52, and 55, your cases have been approved. You are free to go. I will, as always, invite you to stay with the rest of us and participate and watch these other cases. But so if you're here for those cases I've called, you've been approved. Please be sure to follow up with the codes department beginning on Monday morning for any additional sign-offs or approvals that you might need for your building permits. With that, you guys are dismissed. And so our very first case that we will hear will be case 2026-21, gentlemen. Nope, sorry, not you guys. Actually, got a case before you. Hey, appreciate your eagerness, but most people try to avoid coming here. So to have someone excited about coming here is...
We'll wait until we'll have to do the explanation of the case first. So just hold on one second. No, you can stay.
No, please have a seat.
You can stay. We just need the explanation first, and then you can speak.
I've also got to buy a little time. The gentleman emailed us some photographs, and I'm going to drop those in here too while he's talking. Sorry, let me get back to my... Okay. So our first case today is case 21, which you see here at 3403 Nolensville Pike. The site plan submitted by the applicant, there's a rear setback variance, and in this particular layout, north is on the left-hand side of this photograph, but the Nolensville Pike was located at the top of the screen. You'll see an aerial photograph that'll help you with any orientation problems. The issue is a cover and an enclosed space that the gentleman built at the back of this existing garage that's in red here. It requires any additions in commercial property or any zone districts pretty much in Davidson County require 20-foot rear setback from the rear property line. And that gentleman appears to be about a foot off the property line. This is looking, my visit on the subject property, this is Elgin Street, which is kind of where I set up here along Elgin. I first thought that was a roof sign when I went out there. It is not. It's actually on a pole that's mounted there. And then the addition, the building, which you'll see is here. The addition came upon, if you can see where my cursor's moving, is here. So this is that black roofed structure. This is aerial view. We do have members, we got new aerials that were shot just a month ago, so these pictures are pretty fresh. This is the covered area which the gentleman constructed. He did not obtain a permit. He was notified by our office to come and obtain a permit, which time we discovered there's a rear setback issue on this structure. So, and gentleman did submit some photographs. Sir, I've got 3 of them in. I'll load some others here, but I'll turn it over to you. that he submitted, and I'll get those loaded for you here in just a moment. But are there any parties present here in opposition to case 2026-21? Okay, any parties in support? Okay, seeing none. Sir, you'll have 5 minutes to present your case to the board, and I'll get that queued up here for you in just a second. And if you would, please, the first thing, and this will be a reminder for all the folks coming before us today, the first thing you should do is identify yourself with your name and your physical street address, and tell us who you are and where you're from and the address, and then go ahead and make your case to the board why they should grant your variance. And sir, with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Troy. Good afternoon. My name is Troy Sultani, owner of Ride and Roll Auto at 3403 Knowlesville Pike. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I am requesting a setback from 20 to 5 feet for the storage related to our shop. The property layout is limited in the space, and the storage is only for our wheels and related automotive items. It will not create any noise, traffic, or any safety problems for the neighborhood. The business is already operating responsibly in the area. Due to the size of the lot and the property, the full 20-foot setback, it would make the storage area unusable. The request 5 setback allow us to organize our inventory safely without affecting neighboring properties. The storage will be organized and clean. It will be covered and fenced, so does not negatively impact the neighborhood. Ride and Roll have served many customers in the area. Approving this request will help us to operate more efficiency and keep our inventory more organized and continue serving the community. In the pictures I took today from the alley in the back, there is existing buildings on very border of the setback they request. I submit the video too, but I believe it's too much. I try to keep everything clean and organized and safe for my shop, my customers, and my neighborhood. As you see, the storage, the inside I took, it's professionally done, but since they say I have to stop to get here, so I stopped everything. And as you see, it's no trash. It's not going to be no like anything that it puts safety of neighboring or people in danger or anything. It's just storage because the property is very limited in the size. I appreciate you to hear me. Thank you.
May I ask a question about, on your application, there's a dotted line, and then there's an existing building, like a left side of your property, so existing building, does it belong to you or other property owner?
A property owner.
So not yours?
It's not mine, no. As you see, exactly it's on the borderline, but the area in the back, it's actually 10-foot fence, but because I do not have an office storage area, the weather, it will damage my production, my inventory of wheels. So I covered it, so I'm trying to make it safe, and I didn't know that I have to really get a permit. I didn't know. And when I find out, I stopped and I start doing. And the next property next to me that is 3409, it does have a exact building on the border, which is, as you see in the back, the next lot is. So it's clean, it's permitted, it's, as far as the safety and everything, it's 100% done, so.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure it's not your property, but existing building is pretty much same distance from the alley as you are asking. And you said the setback is 5 foot, not the 0 setback, correct?
No, because I'm already 5 foot back, start 5 foot
Got
back.
it.
building
All right,
that. Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, it's not, no, sir, it was just recently constructed. This particular photograph was shot in 2025, but let me get you the updated. This is, from end of February of this year, this photograph here. So that's the addition where my cursor's moving, if you. And these are those two structures the gentleman's talking about, this one and this one.
So it kind of looks more like a lean-to shed almost?
Yes, sir.
Did you obtain any building permits or inspections or anything for this?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Did you obtain a building permit or inspection, get any
Yes, I
inspections or
did,
anything?
yeah. The fire department, everything, the structure, everything is approved. The only thing, the problem was the setback. I do have the paperwork as well, the permit number.
Yeah, this one, Mr. Ransom, this permit is here, the application, the gentleman, he started without a permit, so.
Just, you know, it's tough to tell from the pictures, but the construction looks like, you know, if it was put through an engineer, I don't know if I would have constructed that way, so it's just looking at the naked eye from that construction, that's all. You know, it's tough to tell what size ceiling joists those are and everything else, that's why I asked. So you got a building permit showing the plans for this storage shed?
Yes, I do, yes.
He is submitted for a permit.
You submitted for a permit?
Yes, sir.
After the fact?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he is going to go through building and fire code review, and I was just pulling up.
So they'll have to come out and make sure it's all up to snuff and everything correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the fire marshal appears to have, they've reviewed it as of, looks like October 30.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, any other questions? Anything else you'd like to add before we close the public hearing?
This is just, I would like to add this, that I do appreciate it. For y'all to know, I did not know I do have to pull permit. I wouldn't have started otherwise, and the front shop, we did everything by the book. And this will help me to maintenance our lot and business clean and safe and serve the community. I would really appreciate it if you guys accept my request.
Thank you. So we'll close the public hearing. Any discussion?
There is that one other shed that's right there, and if you look up and down this alley, even on the corner, there's stuff that's either other buildings that are either right up against it or very close to it.
That's why I was kind of generally supportive of it. I think the applicant made a good faith effort. I believe what he said, and I think he's trying to do it the right way in the context of the area. I don't think the request is unreasonable, and I do think based off of the existing characteristics of the property, there is a hardship that would justify the variance.
Yeah, I agree.
I make a motion that we approve the variance due to the hardships surrounding this property concerning the setbacks and building the shed.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, raise their hand. So that's 4 approved, none against. So that passes. Congrats.
All right. That case has been approved on a vote of 4-0. Okay, our next case now is case 2026-39. Mr. Cupperson, the appellant, and he is represented by counsel for the property at 106 Rains Avenue. Again, this case was deferred at our meeting of March 19th until today. And I will call up their information. Just a reminder, this was a special exception request for street and rear setbacks and the height control plane. These are the elevations submitted showing the sky plane, the rear setback encroachment, the sky plane, and street setback encroachment for all four sides. And then a view of the subject site. Just a reminder, this will be the subject site here, green grass area. And I will pull up. Let me see here. I do, and these are the site plans submitted by the appellant. Proposed building layout by floor, parking spaces in the garage. Again, those exhibits here. Then our artist rendering. Okay. I will have that available for you guys at any time. If you need me to recall it back up on the screen, I'm happy to. I'll leave this actually on screen for now. There we go. Okay, with that, gentlemen, you'll have any parties present in opposition to this case. This would be case number 39. Seeing none. All right, gentlemen, you'll have 5 minutes to present.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dwayne Cuthbertson, 409 Merritt Avenue, and I'm using my home address for the record to indicate that not only are we the developers and general contractors for this project, but I'm a neighbor. I live a block away from this site. I see it every morning when I wake up. I see it before I go to bed. So I care deeply about this neighborhood, and I'm very interested in how this site develops out. I'm joined today by John Michael, our legal counsel, as well as Greg Watson and William Smallman. They're neighbors in support here to answer any questions about the engagement process or the project. As Joey suggested, we're requesting a special exception. We're actually requesting 3 special exceptions to permit a mixed-use building composed of commercial on the ground floor. That commercial is concentrated on the north side of this building, and it will transition to residential uses as the building moves toward the residential neighborhood to the south. And then there will be for sale housing above that ground floor, a variety of housing types, including smaller units that we hope are entry-level accessible units. I want to talk about the community engagement process because we were on the consent agenda for the March 19th hearing, and we were pulled, as you heard from the council member, that there was a need for additional dialogue. And so I want to give just a brief history on our engagement with the neighborhood. Before we submitted an application, we started talking to neighbors adjacent to the property, near the property, neighbors who would experience the development of this property to help us inform how we would go about designing the site. And so the site before you has a lot of input from the community already. We expanded that outreach after we made the application to try to reach any and every neighbor that we could. I sat on front porches for way more than I'd ever sat on in my life, talking about this project. We also notified the council member. We sent her the plans, gave her a thorough description of what we were intending to do, so that if she started hearing from folks, she could direct conversation to us, she could answer questions. We provided notice to property owners within 1,000 feet. We also provided a thorough and detailed invitation to our community meeting to those same recipients. We had the community meeting, and then immediately after, I sent a follow-up letter to those same recipients, giving them additional information, additional plan imagery, and inviting them to come to my door, email me, or call the council member if you had questions or concerns. We continued our neighborhood support. At that meeting on the 19th, the council member said we needed more dialogue. She connected us with SNAP, a neighborhood association, and so we started the engagement with that organization. We had a community meeting that they set up. We had that dialogue with neighbors. There was a lot of back and forth, providing information and descriptions. And you should have an email from that organization that suggests that all the information has been received well. So that last feedback that we got seems positive. We have engaged so many neighbors, I've kind of lost count. We have a petition of support. You should have that in front of you. And there are 65 names on that petition of support. So we have support from adjacent neighbors, neighbors on this block, neighbors across the street, commercial owners across the street, neighbors down the street. In fact, I'm not aware of any actual opposition to what we're proposing here. We even have planning support, so we've thoroughly engaged that community engagement, feel like. The request before you is intended to enable an engaging, there's that word again, urban redevelopment of mostly vacant property on this eastern edge of Wedgwood, Houston. It's a neighborhood that's experienced a significant amount of reinvestment, most of which on the north side is mixed use and built up to the sidewalks, which is what we're attempting to match here. Many of those projects had to be rezoned. And in that rezoning process, they were granted heights that match or exceed what we're proposing here. The CS zoning district actually can accommodate up to a 12-story building here. We're proposing a responsibly scaled, nuanced, and articulated building up to 7 stories. Plan it's thoughtfully designed with a lot of input to a lot of those concerns that are usually expressed by the community that care about sidewalks, traffic management and access, creation of open space, orientation and interaction of the buildings at the human scale. And we think this plan addresses those issues in a meaningful way. You'll get sidewalks, street trees where there are none today. All the access is pushed to the rear. So we feel like there's a lot of benefit to the community, while the special exception requests are very minor in scope. Happy to discuss any of those site dynamics. I'm only leaving John Michael 15 seconds to continue.
John Michael, Thompson Burton, 1801 West End Avenue. With my remaining 13 seconds, I would ask the chair if she would consider extending the time only by maybe 2 minutes so that I could use one, and then invite our other guests to speak briefly to the board.
I'll ask for opinions on that.
We don't have any opposition, right?
No.
Do we?
I just think make it 5 minutes, like John Michael is he's so talented. I think he can make it work in a minute.
Okay. Is everyone in favor of a minute? Okay. Robert, a minute?
Sure.
Okay, we are all in favor of a minute. Go ahead, 1 minute.
It's a special exception, not a variance, no hardship required. The 3 special exceptions, the first with Skyplane requires demonstration that there's no light or air diminution or problem caused by adjacent properties. Obviously, that's clean in that regard. And then as to the street and rear setbacks, the criteria involves no adverse effect on neighboring properties and no diminution or problems for the pedestrian streetscape. This actually enhances the streetscape by bringing the massing of the building closer to the street in furtherance of the T4 mixed-use policy of the area, which seeks exactly that kind of outcome. For these reasons, we're confident that we've demonstrated that we meet the special exception criteria and would solicit your approval.
William Smallman, 2008 Cedar Lane. I've been active in the neighborhood and the neighborhood association meetings for 10 plus years, and I want to compliment the project that where they've arrived is clearly from current feedback and what people want, but this matches what the neighborhood has been speaking about for 15 years at SNAP. It was thought about ahead of time and introduced in a way that was already aligned, and it took very little feedback after that because they thought about it ahead of time. And I think that's a rare thing and should be complimented.
Greg Watson, 607A Moore Avenue, and really appreciate all the input and feedback on making this a collaborative effort. This is the type of development I want to see in the neighborhood.
Okay, any questions?
I just have one question for John Michael, just to make sure I'm right. I drive through this neighborhood at least 5 times a week. At the bottom of this neighborhood, like, isn't the truth going up? Like, all of that stuff has gone up. Like, I'm not making.
Can you speak to the proximity of that project? I can't remember how far it is.
Oh, that's what I thought. So I'm not like Live Nation, all that. If I keep straight down Martin, it'll dead it. Okay. I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. I thought I was. Thank you.
any other questions?
I disclose that I drive through this neighborhood at least 5 times a week. I'm generally supportive. We deferred it for opposition. I don't have any opposition today. I think considering what's going on up in this neighborhood, this is really scaled back. I think they did listen to the feedback. And John Michael affirmed that there's no impact on light, air, pedestrian interaction with the site. So I think this qualifies for a special exception. I'm supportive unless you had some questions. This is how you do.
I have to close the public
Oh,
hearing.
okay. I'm just trying to move us along.
You were doing great, but I'm closing the public hearing and now we can, because that wasn't a question.
No, it wasn't, because
Yeah.
he affirmed it. That
Yeah,
was my question.
and you kept going, okay. But now the public hearing's closed, so we can discuss any more or have a motion if someone has a motion.
I just want to say thank you for deferring it. I was reading the opposition. There's not really opposition, but request was want to have more input or community meeting, and which you did. And sometimes, as a developer or team, they feel like have so much enough information and community meeting, but at the last minute, always somebody, oh, I need more information. So that's the case, and I really appreciate, thorough engagement. And for that, I think this qualified special exception, and so I make motion to approve with these items.
Any seconds? I'll second. Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. We have 4 in favor, none against, so it's approved.
Okay, that case is approved on a vote of 4-0. Our next case is on the top of page 3, case 2026-44. Mr. Saad Sual, the appellant and owner of the property at 400 Dawn Drive, requesting a variance in the side setback requirements in R10. The appellant constructed a detached garage without a permit. Will refer to the board under section 1740 060. The appellant has alleged the board would have jurisdiction under section 1740 180. All right, we got two. Are there any parties present in opposition to case 44 on Dawn Drive? Okay, seeing no opposition, gentlemen, I'll go through the photographs first and finish my presentation, then I'll turn it over to you for 5 minutes to present your case to the board. So let me pull that up. Okay. Again, case 2026-44 at 400 Dawn Drive. The subject property is located at the intersection of Dawn Drive and Peregrine Mills Road. The variance request before us based upon the size of the structure that the gentleman constructed. The required setbacks are 3 feet. There's a 3-foot side setback from both the northern property boundary and the eastern property boundary. And as you see in the survey provided by the applicant, the closest approach on the northern property line is 1.41 feet, and closest approach at the eastern property line is 0.7 of a foot. And so that's the request would be from 3 feet down to those portions. This is a view looking, this is from Dawn Drive looking into the site. The subject property's residence is here. The existing carport, which you saw on the site plan, is located here where my cursor is spinning, and this is the new structure that was constructed on the property. And then another view kind of looking directly from Dawn Drive into the subject site. And those are the photographs I have. You see the date, I shot those on April the 2nd. All right, with that, there's no opposition present. Gentlemen, you'll have 5 minutes to present your case to the board, and again, start with your names and addresses, and then I'll start the clock once you're done with that portion.
Good afternoon. My name is Nibris Alzamio. I live on 400 Dawn Drive. This garage that we have built is kind of just a shelter for our cars. We have asked all the neighbors around us, and we have talked to most of the neighbors surrounding us from the back, the sides, the front. We have not heard any complaints, any oppositions whatsoever. Actually, matter of fact, we have neighbors that supported us, that liked the project, and actually have written letters and sent it in our favor. We have one of our neighbors over here as well. That's my dad. The neighbor on the back actually came with us last meeting on April the 2nd, which was canceled, unfortunately. But he did send in a letter. Yeah, I mean, I've contacted the PUDE, which is the services. Apparently that John, the guy at the, the permit office, he actually told me that maybe there is some services under there, the left side of the driveway, which I did. I have emails I can provide. There's nothing under there, no water, no gas, no electricity, nothing. So I don't really see any problems with having a garage. We built it ourselves. We didn't know we need a permit because it's all the way back of the house. The difference is only 3 feet. We have a 1 feet. We thought would be enough because there is some area, but we thought would be enough at that time. It serves a really good purpose. Actually has improves on the water rain drainage for the neighbors on the back side of us. They have told us that their rainwater actually does not stick around anymore, goes right to the road, so that's a good thing. Adds to the property value, and it looks really nice.
I live at the house you can see on the left side of this picture here.
Can you tell us your name and the address?
Yes. My name is Declan Kennedy, and I live at 404 Don Drive, which is directly adjacent to my neighbors here. And I'm just speaking to express my support for my neighbor's appeal. The garage does not negatively affect my property or my day-to-day life in any way. It does not affect sunlight or air, and it actually increases my privacy in a positive way. It does not interfere with any use of my yard. The roof is angled away from my house, as you can see, and therefore will not cause any drainage issues for me. The construction is appropriate for the neighborhood, and it is visually appealing. In my opinion, the existence of the garage increases the property value. So I respectfully ask that the board take my firsthand experience into consideration and approve this appeal. Thank you.
Okay, any questions from the board members? Any?
You said you guys constructed this yourselves?
Yeah, we built it ourselves, yes, sir.
Okay.
My dad is an engineer, and I'm in school for civil engineering, so it was a little nice project for us.
Okay.
One follow-up question. I understand you didn't know you had to obtain the permit, but retroactively permit was obtained?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. We applied for the permit, which eventually got not accepted, got declined because of the setback variance, and that was it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add before we close the public hearing?
No, ma'am. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just never a fan of people building things without permits, right? Obviously retroactively have to get one and get it inspected. And, it doesn't seem, according to the information we have, to infringe on any utilities other into this drainage easement, which I'm not sure how big of a deal that is. What is the drainage easement from, I guess, a previous development as noted?
I guess they I see the gutters on it. Do you see it? Like I think I was actually, just so everybody knows, before they appeared when looking at this, I was against it. I will remind the applicants that you guys are professionals, so as civil engineers, for all your projects, you guys should get permit or at least check before you build. But what I found compelling is the fact, because most of the time when people build these, they don't put, they don't put the downspouts or anything. And then the fact that the back neighbor said it has improved drainage. And then I got the neighbor here saying he appreciates the fact that the water falls off because how they built it at an angle. So from my perspective, they changed my mind, because when I initially saw this, I was like, no. But their testimony kind of inched me the other way, but with a stern warning, please don't do this again. You guys are professionals. Always check, always ask before you build anything. But that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, if you advertise yourselves as engineers and in construction, one would make the assumption you'd also know that anything in the building requires permits. You know, the things that I worry about are this encroachment into this drainage easement, which may or may not be a big deal. I don't have any judgment or understanding of what that does. And then the other fact is how close it is to the property line. The survey shows something slightly different than what's in the description. It's 0.7 feet from the rear at its closest point, and 1.4 and 1.2 feet from the side. I mean, minimum from anything is 3 feet for fire code. You know, even accessory structure is 3 feet in the rear. And then side setbacks are half of a side setback for a dad who no less than 3 feet. So those are just kind of concerns. They may be completely void in this part, but they're not meeting the minimum fire standard setback of 3 feet. And then they're encroaching into this drainage easement.
Mr. Ransom, if I could address a couple of those issues.
Yes, please.
They've applied for the permit, and as the gentleman testified, they're denied. Part of their review, fire marshal is on this permit, so they'll have to approve it or fire rate it or do whatever the fire marshal needs. From what he testified, the public utilities are okay with the encroachment, and we'll ask for a copy of those letters from the utilities granting permission to be in their easement.
Okay.
So those two things hopefully.
So they still have quite a few hurdles to go through.
They're still, yeah, this is just step one of the issues that they've got to tackle.
Right.
But
Okay.
I'm at the member, I shouldn't same boat, because I'm not fan of building with a permit, and which was big no-no, and I do appreciate, try to make it right. But looking at the area, because of the purpose of the garage, I think this property is rather constrained, because you cannot put the garage, back of the house in this setting. So, and I think encroached portion is triangular part, not entire building is, partially encroaching. For that reason, and also the testimony from the, adjacent neighbor, that kind of weighs very heavily on me. So I'm very leaning towards approving this variance.
And to address Member Ransom's concerns, I think we could put conditions that there'll never be an expansion of this. It can't be turned into an accessory dwelling unit. Like, it's limited to what it currently is. Like, no expansion of this current garage that we're approving. And if they want to do any modifications in the future or change anything, that they would have to come back. I don't know if that would satisfy you, but. Because I do look at the property, and to her point, like, the public right away, like, there's not really a space on this lot for a garage.
Yes, I track you there. There's a space for a smaller 2-car garage or a larger 1-car garage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it is a decent size, 20 by 23. I don't know directionally which way. It looks like 20 wide, 23 deep. And you kind of need 20-ish to get 2 cars in there. But, again, I can't put gravity to the weight. And he Joey mentioned the fire marshal's going to note on it, but it's not just a fire, it's access and other stuff from the side. So it could have been 18 by 22 or 21 and at least not gotten, it still would have gone over the building restriction lines, but still would have maintained that 3 feet. That's kind of the hang up, and then just my frustration about lack of building permits. Seem to be a lot of engineers and architects that come in here that don't have building permits, didn't know they needed them. So, but also hate making people tear stuff down, so.
Well, especially when the neighbors are in support.
Yeah.
That's what makes it compelling. That's really the only thing that makes
The
it
person who
compelling.
lives next door to it is like, thank you. I'm supporting this.
I mean, I'm begrudgingly in support of it. It's got to go through more hurdles, which would check all my boxes.
Do you want to make any conditions?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve, under the conditions that, the current structure cannot be added on to, or converted into a dadu or anything else to that effect. And then obviously it's got to go through, the remaining channels to be approved.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. We got 4 in favor, 0 opposed, so it's approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Okay, members, our next case will be on the bottom of page 3, case 2026-46. The applicants present come forward. Are there any parties present in opposition to case 46 at 919 Blue Ridge Drive? Okay, seeing none, gentlemen, you've seen the process. We'll continue likewise with your case. So this property is located on this triangular, rectangular shaped property at where Blue Ridge Drive becomes Jewel Street. North is oriented to the right-hand side of the property. The request before us is to construct a residence and a dadu, and they're requesting 3-foot setbacks along the property lines, just a portion for the dadu back in this corner, and then for both structures along Ellington Parkway to the south. This property is a remnant piece of a full-size parcel that was taken by the state to build Ellington Parkway. The remainder parcel, which you see here, is a valid building lot, and it actually meets the lot area for the zoning district.
So, Joey, just so I understand, this small lot
Yes.
next to this brick house is
Yes.
what we're looking at? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Right where this sign is, and you'll see, if you'll notice in the photographs, I apologize for my camera's a little dirty there, but those posts that you see, those green posts, are about the approximate property line for that. And so this fence row here is the boundary, TDOT's boundary of Ellington Parkway. They did take a portion of this property. The original parcel, looking back at old plats, is the same width as the one to the west. This red brick house, same width of the lot, but TDOT took a chunk and left them a portion of that property remainder. Just for zoning nerds like me, one of the things we look up in these old instances where the interstate came through or the Raleigh Parkway is taken, TDOT has a couple different types of deeds where one is they condemn all of it and they pay the owner everything. The other is they pay them a portion just for the portion they're taking and they leave the remainder. The third kind we've run into is where they pay the owner for the portion, but they pay them for the whole but only take a portion. Those are things our office has to look at, because the third option is completely unbuildable, because they paid the owner back in the 60s for the value of the entirety of the property, but only took a portion for their use. So we do get inquiries from time to time of these remainder pieces that are still deeded and they get bought and sold, but they're not buildable. But this one we check into, it's buildable. It actually, based on the depth of it, has enough lot area to meet the base zoning requirements. But unfortunately, because of that, it does have to meet the full setbacks of the zoning code. So this is the house to the left. This is a look toward the radius, and I'm gonna pull up for you the aerial photographs too. I think will give you a good view on that. I did have a conversation with a neighbor on the 2nd when I went out there to take the photographs and verify that the public hearing sign was up. They were surprised it was a buildable lot after all these years, but he did not have a position one way or the other on whether they were for or against it. But if you can see that remainder. Now, this little triangle to the north is not buildable. The TDOT paid them for the entirety of that little remnant piece there. But it is still a parcel on our thing that is owned by the Metro government via back tax sale. So, okay, that is our case records. We have it. Again, the site plan for you is Sorry, just realized I'm not showing you what I'm looking at. So again, the subject property in yellow, there's that little triangle I talked about that's held by the back tax folks, and that's all we've got. No opposition present. Gentlemen, you'll have 5 minutes to present your case to the board, and the clock will begin once you're done with your introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Argus. John Rankin, 1709 Woodland Street, Nashville, Tennessee. I'm the general contractor hired by Mr. Merchan to construct this home and the dadu on this lot. I wanted to make a couple of quick points. Number one, the dadu, as it is drawn, only requires 3-foot side setbacks. So talking with Ms. Patrick, the dadu is not part of this presentation, meaning it already meets, as drawn, the dadu rules as they exist now. So our appeal, our variance that we're asking for is only for the front house. And the front house, all we're asking for is a 3-foot side setback along Ellington. The point there is that we wouldn't think Ellington would be detrimental to Ellington Parkway to have a more narrow side setback than the 5-foot requirement for RS5. Our goal with this, and the reason we're here today, is to park. If we're parking everyone up front, it really detracts, we think, from the rhythm of the neighborhood. Our goal is to try to separate the parking as much as we can to the rear instead of putting everyone in the front and having a sidewalk to the back, essentially. So it's also a lot more functional. We've come up with what we think is the most narrow functional house there is at 17 feet overall. And of course, we provided elevations and floor plans for both, just so everyone can get a feel for it. Our hardship, and that's what we're here for, and it's what matters, is it's a narrow lot, and it's legally buildable. It's more than the square footage required for the zoning. And so as a hardship, it's clearly the most narrow lot in the entire neighborhood. And I think we've done as best we can to orient what is legally able to go on this lot without going overboard. So our goal here is to try to separate the parking, not park everyone in the front yard, still maintain the 3-foot side setback that's required under fire rules, and frankly, we're more than 10 feet from the neighbor to the west. And so again, I would ask this board to approve our 3-foot side setback based on the hardship that's a very narrow lot. And I'll turn it over to the owner, Mr. Merchan. Make sure you say your address.
Good afternoon. My name is Moises Merchan. I live in the 908 Macon Street. And I am a restaurant manager. And when I buy this property line, I didn't know about the specifications. But right now, like looking at research, and I see we can have the standards for a variance, which is minimum 3 foot. And also we don't, we have here we don't have the public welfare. Second thing, the plans are designed. Number three, I'm trying to find a house which can be functional. If we're trying to attach very skinny ones, it's going to be extremely hard to place chairs, tables, furniture, and also I'm planning to live over there with my family, with my kids, and the circulation is going to be very tight. So that is the goal, trying to apply for the 17 feet, less 1 foot of walls will be 16 foot. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak with you.
May I ask a question about it's adjacent to Ellington Parkway. Is there any a noise sound barrier on that portion, or when you are outside, you will be hearing a car noise?
So what we've done, and the reason we included the elevations, is we've done brick on that side, all the way down to prevent the noise. And as Mr. Merchan has, and we have talked about, we're ordering the noise-proof windows, the triple pane. So we're doing everything we can within the house to prevent that noise. The good thing about Ellington, it's different than I-40 or I-65 or 24, and that is it's more of a morning and afternoon, and you've spent a lot of time on the property. It's more between 7 and 9 a.m. and then again between 4 and 6 p.m., but it's not all night long. So that, that's one consideration we give. We have put brick down the entire side.
I appreciate that,
Yes.
because we are charged on the variance, but at the same time, I hate to allow the house to be unlivable, so I
Right.
appreciate answering the question.
Any other questions?
I mean, yes. I don't know if appreciate the presentation, the plans. And I understand kind of the parking in the front and the back. I just had really kind of a odd, something stepping out to me on the main floor. Why do you have to go through your half bath to get to your main floor bedroom on the main floor? Just feels like a lot of parking, and normally we're used to seeing a unit with a garage.
Mr. Ransom, I just want to make sure I understand the question. I'm sorry.
So we're seeing, normally this situation, and dadus are kind of a new thing, but we normally would see a unit with a, garage out back or some version of a garage, right? And maybe I'm connecting dots that aren't there, but I don't see anything with a garage. I see the additional parking. The structure of the dadu would still allow for a garage and living space. Your main floor, you have a half bath that then connects. So you got to go through your main living space, through your half bath, through a secondary kitchenette, into this back unit, which also has a large stoop in the back. So
Mr. Ransom, that's designed for his parents.
designed for the parents.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. So multi-generational is what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and they're 72 years old.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that's my only
They
question.
want some privacy, but still completely connected.
Yeah, I get that, okay.
And not a
Thanks.
full kitchen.
That's it.
Okay. Is there any other questions? And anything you'd like to add before we close the public hearing?
I see some faces about the narrowness of this lot and building on the lot. Unquestionably, we're taking advantage of the new DADU regulations that have been passed. And frankly, this is designed for his family, his extended family to live, and it fits them very well. And I do think it causes, that rear dadu to be, I won't say affordable, but it adds, more living. The impact will only be to Ellington Parkway. And we are not proposing to impact the neighboring lot where someone lives at all. If anything, we're twice the distance that's required. Thank you all for your consideration.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing unless there's any last minute questions. There is not. Okay. Any discussion?
Because I know we have to disclose this, most of my life I lived in District 5. I didn't move to Edgeville until 2020. So my grandmother and aunt lived on Blue Ridge, and I lived on Oneida for a little bit that was also broke up by Ellington Parkway, so I could see Ellington Parkway from our first house. And then I grew up on Edwin, which is less than a mile from here. So I am super familiar with this area, and I saw Ransom's face, and I kind of agreed, this reminded me when I saw this, certain horses aren't made for certain courses, right? This is a very narrow lot, and we're putting a lot on it. So that's just my gut reaction, but I'm still listening because I do recognize that the impact is to Ellington and not to the neighboring property. And so that's something to consider, so.
I'm kind of right there with you, right? You know, the neighboring property
Isn't gonna be impacted.
isn't going to be impacted. If anything, the neighboring property obviously impacts that whole neighborhood much more so than that. But yeah, you know, it's asking, well, I have a narrow lot, so yeah. Yeah, the DADU, I mean, I'm all support for the DADU and the regulations and everything that goes along with it, so I'm in support of that. So good for them for taking advantage of the new thing that was passed, but the setbacks here are 5 feet, right? Typical setbacks?
That's correct.
Yeah, and the main structure looks to be well beyond 5 feet on that one side. And the DADU, you can go down to
Correct.
cut your setbacks in half. Question on the DADU, Joey, you can cut your bulk regulation side setbacks in half. Do you get to only set one side setback in half, or it can be both if you have
No,
a situation?
it could be both.
A minimum of 3,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so the DADU, it's not even a discussion, so. And the other, you know, 3 feet just on one side, it seems like it's on it, well, far on the other side. I mean, there's some things I don't particularly like about it, but that's outside of my. Yep, exactly, which I have a tendency to go beyond sometimes, so. I'm in support.
Okay, I mean, I do think it's a narrow lot, and it's more troublesome for the future homeowner to be living next to Ellington Parkway.
I mean, lots of people do.
Do they? And it's not, it's not,
Now, if you go, I grew up over there, there used to be nothing but trees, and that blocked the sound, but now they've built out, what's that street called? All along Ellington now, there's a bunch of stuff that's gone up that are houses, so this isn't unusual to say that, because, so there's a lot of houses now right up against Ellington Parkway that weren't there 5 years ago.
okay.
So yeah, I agree, like, the trees normally would have kept the sound in, but they're gonna cut those down to build this, so I guess that's why they built the wall.
Okay, any motions or further discussions?
I make a motion to approve this plan, considering the extremely narrow lot and adjacent to Ellington Parkway, and it's not negatively affecting the neighbor. So therefore, I make a motion to approve the application.
Okay, I'll second that motion. So there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise their hand. We've got 4 in favor and 0 against, so that's approved.
Thank you all. And if I could just say, as we part, we are not touching the trees. They're actually on the right-of-way of Ellington Parkway. That will be critical for us to have those trees. Correct, on our property. So those trees are actually on the right-of-way. I know it's irrelevant after you voted, but I just wanted to make sure you understood. They're not our trees. They're TDOT's trees. Okay.
Okay, our next case, members, will be on, that actually completes our cases for April 2nd. Now begin today's regularly scheduled cases. And the first of which that we will hear will be case 2026-34, Ms. Carol Andrews, the appellant and owner of the property at 1133 Lipscomb Drive, requesting a variance in the fence height provisions in R20. The appellant has seeking to keep her existing fence referred to the board under section 1712-040. Number 26A, the appellant has alleged jurisdiction 1740-180B. Are there any parties present in opposition to Ms. Andrews' request? Mr. Chairman, seeing none, let me go through that photographs real quick. And the variance request here is a fence height, and unlike most fences that you guys see are out near the street, this is actually in the rear yard. The zoning code puts a limit on privacy and opaque fences in the rear and side setbacks at an 8-foot maximum height. And the appellant's fence is just slightly under 10 feet there. Ms. Andrews' property is the light-colored home that you see on the right-hand side. This is one half of an HPR development. And this is a view from the aerial photographs shot in February of her fence. And the zoning code requires us to measure from the exterior portion of the fence adjoining property lines. And it's a little bit over 8 feet and a couple spots along the rear and the side property line. This came to our attention by way of a hub complaint. The Property Standards Division went out to investigate the complaint, and they were able to substantiate that the fence was over. We offer Ms. Andrews the ability to come to this board and seek a variance, and that's why she's here today. So, like I said, unlike your usual fence requests, which are out near the street, this one's actually in the backyard. So with that, I'll leave this aerial up. I did not, Ms. Andrews, I'm nice enough to say I did not trespass on your property to shoot ground shots. So there was no one home when I visited. So I took what, well, you're nice to say that. My lawyers, unfortunately, tell me I cannot do that. So without your express permission. So, but anyway, that's why we have this photo was just shot at the end of February, and it shows pretty good detail of what's out there. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. We'll zoom in on that so they can have a look-see.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I'm Carol Andrews. I apologize for my nervousness. You would think I was on trial for murder. I'm so nervous.
Oh, that's okay. You just have to give us your address, though.
Oh, 11? This is for 1133 Lipscomb Drive. I actually live in 1131, which is the other house that you can see there. I built them both. I'm living in 1131. 1133 is currently for sale. I have never built or had a fence built before, so I did not know that there was a height restriction in any way. I built it just for privacy. There are quite a few houses that have been built that you can't see currently behind there, and it's like a fishbowl. So because of the house sitting about 4 feet off ground level and then the sloping yard, a 6-foot or 8-foot fence didn't seem to accomplish the privacy issue with those other houses. And again, I apologize, I didn't know that there was a height restriction, and it's a little under 10 feet just on that one side. The other two sides that you can see there are 8 feet. I know there was a complaint by a neighbor. However, their house, visually, it does not impact them at all. Where their house sits on the corner of Granny White Pike and Lipscomb Drive, they do own that yard that you can see on the other side of the fence, but their actual house and their view is about a football field at least away. They own the house that you can see there, but that is a rental. The lady who complained actually does not live in that house. She lives in a house even further back away from that fence. So it adds to privacy for all of us. It's a nice brand new fence that I built in December, and it's, you know, in great shape. And I think it adds privacy not just for the house in question there, but also for the other neighbors. I do have support letters from quite a few neighbors. The White House that you can see on the other side has sent a support letter, and the two neighbors next to the lady who complained, who actually have more of a view of the fence, have written letters in support, as has the councilman for District 25, said he is in support of the variance to leave this fence as it is. And I thank you all so much for your attention.
I don't have any questions. I'm ready to give comments, so if you want to close the
Well, there wasn't any opposition present, is that right? Okay. Did you have a question?
No, I'm just wishing we could put the onus back on all these fence companies that build all these fences for owners that know the rules and regulations and claim that it's not their responsibility.
Good news, Mr. Ransom, we have a large mailing about to go out to all the fence companies in Nashville with our rules and regulations. So.
Wow. So then they can't claim ignorance anymore.
Exactly, exactly. And I know this company that did it, and they certainly know, but anyways. No, I don't have any comments.
Okay, I just had a question. You said the site sloped. It's hard for us to see in this
I know,
aerial.
it is kind
Can
of
you tell
hard to
us
see.
maybe where it starts to slope?
I can see it slope. If you look in the back where those trees are, it looks like there's like a hill.
It's not a huge, I mean, it sort of slopes gently down to a wet weather conveyance little creek right there. And of course, the fence is not exactly on a slope, but the house sits up about 4 feet off the ground, from ground level. And therefore, putting a 6-foot fence would have, really not garnered the privacy that I was looking for from those houses back there. And so that's why I built it a little higher. But again, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And now it's there. So, of course, it would be expensive to undo it. But
Yeah, we're looking for the topography now, so we'll get a little better understanding of it.
Yeah, these lines represent 2-foot contours. Changes in grade of 2 feet or more.
I see pictures of the fence again, Joey, if you don't mind.
I was gonna say, no, go ahead, Mr. Ransom, did you have a question?
No, I just wanted to see how it was constructed. I mean, we've done this before where we've had to give fences haircuts. And the applicant just mentioned how expensive it is, and you don't have to redo the whole fence, just for the board's knowledge. You just basically give it a haircut and recap it. So, not that that's something that plays into our account, but.
I just don't wanna give this fence a haircut because
Do you
it
want
looks
to?
like there's a slope, and the point of a privacy fence is, no, I'm just saying.
I know.
The point of a privacy fence is privacy, so if we cut it down, then you don't accomplish privacy, so.
Madam Chair, do you want to close the public hearing
Oh, I'm
first?
sorry, I thought you did. I'm so sorry.
I was thinking the same thing, but do you have any more questions so we can?
No, I do not.
Okay.
For the applicant, no.
So we're good. So did you have any more comments before?
No.
Okay, we're going to close the public hearing and
Okay,
discuss.
thank you.
Okay.
I just think it's so small, and given the unique topography of the area, and then also on top of the fact that there are houses now in the backyard, like, I just think that these unique circumstances warrant a variance.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So I make a motion that we approve the variance requested due to the topography and the unique surrounding circumstances that there's houses behind this house in support of this variance, and that we approve it.
Okay. I will second the motion and see if there's any discussion on the motion. Nope. Okay. All in favor, raise your hand. That's 4 in favor and 0 against, so it's approved.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Can I ask one question? Do I need to do anything? Okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
Okay, the final case on today's agenda is case, bottom page 8, case 2026-57, Four Stone Capital LLC and 1218 Dickerson LLC, the owner of the property located at 1218 Dickerson Pike. They are requesting a special exception for setback and height requirements in the CS-NS district. The NS stands for non-short-term rental, so the appellant seeking to construct a mixed-use building with multifamily, retail, and commercial uses. The case was previously approved by this board May 16, 2024. Their approval expires on that date. And so they applied to come back before this board prior to the expiration of that to seek an additional 2-year approval. Appellants alleged the board would have jurisdiction under section 1740, 180, item C, and this includes the parcels listed below as seen on the map and parcels. And I know there's opposition present, so I put 10 minutes on the clock. The appellant present? Ah, there you are, Mr. Cooper, all right. My apologies, didn't see you there. Let me go through at least what I've got here, and I'll turn it over to you. A little bit out of sequence here, apologize. These are the subject properties involved are located, these parcels along Dickerson Pike and then stretching back into this property. And I've got an aerial, sorry, I'll pull up the site plan. I just didn't save it on here. The special exception approved under those case numbers, which you see there, shows the extent to the, and we'll start first along Auction Way, which is the road that runs east and west between Whites Creek Pike and Dickerson Pike. And this is the portion of the structure that's encroaching into the sky plane along that frontage. And then views looking along, just looking west along that same frontage. I seem to be missing 2 slides out of my presentation here, so. Yeah, let me just put in my part and I'll get that loaded up there because for some reason it seems to be missing. And Mr. Cooper, if you wouldn't mind stalling for me, if you would please identify yourself, I'll get those slides loaded back in here.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, please.
John Cooper with the law firm Holland & Knight. I'd like to reserve 2 minutes or the balance of my time for rebuttal, please. Again, Holland & Knight, 511 Union Street. Here representing Four Stone Capital, who is the property owner and developer of the subject properties on Dickerson Pike, Whites Creek Pike, and Ligon Avenue. As was stated, Four Stone obtained a special exception for street setback, height at the setback and height control plane. That is set to expire in May of this year, and so we're back seeking an extension of the exact same thing that the Board of Zoning Appeals approved in 2024. As you know, the economy has not been extremely favorable to projects of this scale due to a combination of interest rates and building material costs and capital constraints. My client does own the property, so it's not like they have an option where they're they're committed. They own the property. So the request is for a maximum of 12 stories at the Build 2 line, and that is consistent with the Dickerson South Corridor Study, which specifically calls for 12 stories at the Build 2 line. I think the most important thing to note is what could be done without this special exception, and the slide that Mr. Hargis had up. I don't know if you can go back to that now or not.
Sure.
Sorry.
It's okay. No, apologies are on my end because I thought I had your.
That's good. So if you look at that white area, that is what could be built by right. So you could build about 30 stories by right using the height control plane. And so what we are proposing is significantly less than what could be built by right in the same location. We do have opposition here. It's the same opposition that we had previously. I would note that we made concessions for the opposition for their benefit that were incorporated again into this submittal, and that's for pushing the buildings back along Whites Creek Pike and facing Ligon. Our position, as it was in 2024, is that we meet all of the legal requirements for a special exception. The building configuration, height, and setbacks do not create an adverse impact in the area. The development definitely promotes a strong pedestrian-friendly environment because, as was stated earlier by Mr. Michael on another case, putting the buildings closer to the street activates the street and encourages pedestrian activity. The light and air study that has been submitted shows no adverse impact on the air, light, shadow, or wind velocity. This is as was shown on the aerial, it is a very large site. So again, we request your approval, not seeking anything different. This is exactly the same thing that was approved in 2024. Thank you.
Okay, any questions?
Yes, just one clarifying question. I just want to make sure if I understood correctly. So this newer, the plan is exact same plan as 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
Because you kind of referenced push back the building, but that had happened in
That had
24.
previously happened, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh, I was just gonna say that when we were taking the earlier vote, I asked, I know your name, I know your name, but to recast the votes, like who participated, and the last time this was heard, I voted no, so I just wanted that to be clear. Like, the board did approve it, but the last time we heard it, I did vote no. So,
I think the order is in our packet.
packet, yeah, I had to be reminded, because I.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, we'll now hear from those parties in opposition, if you come, what's that, sir? Yeah, I'll be happy to do it for you, sure. No, no, 10? Yeah.
A little confusing.
A lot more houses have been built.
Yeah, just a reminder for the record, this is a new case, so obviously the votes previously are irrelevant to today's proceedings. Okay, with that, I will now turn over to the parties in opposition. For the parties at the table, you'll have 10 minutes in total to speak to the board. Yeah, I'll be happy to play it. Is there, well, right, I've got it queued up as you requested. The playing of the video will count toward the time, so is there any audio in? Okay, no problem. Just before you begin, Mr. Kendig, is there any audio in that I need to play for the board? Okay, I'll get that queued up here for you. And I'll start that when you tell me to, sir.
Can everyone, yeah, I guess everyone can hear me. This is just a video that was taken at the top height of the building.
I'm sorry, did you give us your name?
Jeff Kendig, 1111 McGavick Pike, Nashville, and also I split time in Goodlettsville. I own one of the lots on Ligon. This video was taken with a drone. That's me 50 feet at the bottom from the, that's where the building was proposed at first. As we go across here, this is the view that the building would have into the back of the properties. Because last time there were some arguments about views. It really wasn't about views, it was about privacy, as you can see. And this is at the top of the building. So when it planes off, that would be the height at 12 stories, which, as you can see, is significantly higher than what could be built. They have argued what could be built, and hopefully you all read my email. It's not what could be built. The code speaks directly to what existing structures. The existing structures are not over 30 feet. It doesn't matter that there could be a 106-foot building there. It matters that there are 30-foot structures there, and this will be 50 to 60 feet taller than them. I wanted to go back to John Michael and the congratulations he got for reminding that there were no adverse impacts. Their own sun's shade study shows adverse impacts. As Mr. Ransom pointed out last time, or Board Member Ransom, it was taken during the most favorable time that it could be taken. And it still cast a shadow at 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock on the buildings. I went to another site, and it is in the email that I sent you. Some of them got rejected. Hopefully all of you got them. It shows that in January, it would cast a shadow all the way across almost to Fern Avenue, which is a significant impact. And it's defined in the code as an adverse impact.
Mr. Kindig, how do you know that it would cast a shadow to Fern? Again, disclosing, I'm super familiar with this area. I was on the study committee for South Dickerson Road, and I don't live far from the site, and I travel here every day too, sadly. So how do you know that? Because I know where Ligon is, I know where Fern is, so how do you know that's 2 blocks from where this is almost? Like, how do you know it cast the shadow that far?
Because there is, if on the email that I sent the board members that didn't reject my Hotmail account, there is a application that allows you to do a sun shade study based on height. You put the dimensions of the building. And I will say, if they want to do another one based on the building at the time of year that I did it, I'm more than happy for them to do that. But you can see that the shadow that it cast based on this application and the 2 screenshots I put there, I did 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and 10 a.m. extends way over Whites Creek, and it definitely significantly extends the afternoon 2 p.m. Well on the other side of Ligon and at the back of Fern. And as you can see, when it leveled out in the video, you're to the top of Fern Hill. So any sun coming from the back of that building is going to extend, literally Fred's property will be in a shadow pretty much 24/7 the whole time. By definition, that's an adverse impact on an existing structure. I don't know where the Skyline redevelopment district stands now, but even the code says, they have to prove that there's not an adverse impact. They keep arguing that we knew that MUGA was the, when we moved in, MUGA was the zoning. It wasn't when I bought the property. It wasn't when Norma bought the property. It wasn't when Fred bought the property. It was commercial. And again, it doesn't talk about what can be built. It talks about what is there. And they've been there a long time. And the Skyline redevelopment district was put in place to encourage investment in that area. And as you said, Ms. Davis, our board member Davis, the area was run down for a long time and it's come back. So, well, but as you know, well, you've lived there, but so it was put in place to encourage investment, and it has encouraged investment. They've invested in it. There's also no transition between this massively dense building and what is basically a residential neighborhood beside it, regardless of what the zoning is. There's no transition at all from, 1,000-unit building to, single-family owner-occupied businesses with a owner suite upstairs or downstairs, which, it would seem like there's a way around this with larger setbacks or scaling the building up in steps. But I feel like they failed to meet the legal standards as far as adverse impacts. There's not been a traffic study done. They keep saying this is going to be more walkable. I mean, when you introduce that kind of density, everybody is in love with the idea of giving up cars, but no one actually gives them up. So they've got giant parking garages there. They haven't done a traffic study. Their own sunlight study shows a shadow cast at 10 and 2. I don't think they've met the burden of proof, which is on them per the code, that they should be given the special exception.
Hi, everyone. I appreciate your time. My name is Fred Stevens. I live at 15 Liggett, or I have an office at 15 Liggett Avenue and a residence above. I've been there for 20 years. I built quite a while back. We didn't hear about this until after they'd already had community meetings in Cleveland Park. I think they had another one in another district, and before any of the owners on our street were aware of it. I spoke with the councilman 6 months before I found out and asked him to fill me in if there was anything going to happen on this property. He never touched me. Never contacted me. So we were kind of blindsided by this. But it puts a building 50 feet higher within 40 feet of my building. And it completely cuts off the sunlight to my building. Ironically, they're doing it in phase 1, which is over next to Dickerson Road, and this is in phase 2, which is abuts Whites Creek Pike. Phase 1 is only going 6 stories high. Phase 2 is what we're talking about, which is right in front of my property and Norma's property and Jeff's property, is going to be 12 stories high. And, you know, just the case I was listening to before on Rains Avenue, they talked about the building being in context with they could go 12 stories, but they only were to go 7 because it would not be in context with the neighborhood. Well, there's nothing in that neighborhood that's anywhere near 12 stories. And, you know, I went to the studies before when the Skyline development was being done, and I kept hearing that it could go 12 stories, and I argued with them then. I said, there's nothing on Dickerson Road over 2 stories right now when we were doing the redevelopment plan. No, Mr. Stevens, you don't have to worry. It's going to be 30 or 40 years before something like this would develop. Well, I said, okay, but it's only been within, I think, 5 years that I begin to hear this. This is going to happen. So I just don't think it's in context with anything there. It's going to put me, and even on Fern Avenue, it's going to put some of those people in the shadow, and I'll be in the shadow, and I depend on, in the wintertime, the southern exposure that I've got and the sunlight to help heat and take care of my building. I mean, it'll be a tremendous energy cost to me. And there again, it's going to be like everybody will be looking right into my back door. My whole back side is glass, and they'll be looking right directly at me, and I'll have to look up just to see the top of this thing. I mean, if it was in a reasonable height, I would have no opposition. I'm all for development of the neighborhood. I've been there 20 years and watched it grow. But to me, this is just totally out of context of what should be, even though it says it should be allowed, I don't think it should.
I would also reiterate, if you look at the picture that was handed out, that's what's built on Fern and Ligon now. And that is, Norma's house is what you can barely see at the bottom of the picture with the drone setting where the building would be. And I'm happy for them to get a professional to do all this. These pictures were taken by one person, the video was taken by another person. If you look at them, the height looks, you know, consistent, so I don't think they were off. They've got GPS, they've got monitors on to tell what the height is. I just don't see how it does not adversely impact the neighborhood based on Metro's definition, which is wind, light, traffic. And I think it'll impact all 3 of those things with the size and scale of the building. It's like having a football field placed next to your house, or a place of business / house, because they do have businesses in there.
I see Whites Creek Pike every day, and it's backed up already. I mean, we can know what's happening to traffic in Nashville. And when I first moved there 20 years ago, and they started selling the property up there, which you've seen it all develop now, but some of the property that was right off Whites Creek, I was being told at that time, well, you don't want anything right there next to Whites Creek because the interstate's going to take that. Eventually, it will take Whites Creek. And you're putting a density here now, and the only thing you've got is a 2-lane highway, which is Whites Creek Pike for entry and exit. And with this much density, 12 stories in one place, going out, it's that combined with the fact that TDOT may end up taking Whites Creek before it's over with. So I don't think it's practical.
Okay.
has anything else, I'll just read this in closing. Furthermore, the applicant must provide evidence that the proposed building heights shall not create an adverse impact on air, light, shadow, or wind velocity patterns due to the configuration of the building relative to the maximum permitted height standards, including height control, and its juxtaposition to and with existing structures in the vicinity. Existing. The applicant has argued that a 100-foot building could be built there. It has nothing to do with what could be built or what's to be built. It has to do with what's there now and not adversely impacting the neighborhood. Thank you very much. It's been a minute. Do we stay for questions or is he just rebut?
I didn't see any questions, so,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
So just to respond to a few of the points that were raised, I don't know whether that aerial footage is accurate or not. But there's ample Tennessee case law that says the Board of Zoning Appeals is to consider evidence, and this would need to be some kind of a professional something, and it's just a drone footage. I don't think we can draw anything conclusive from that. Again, the shadow of what could be built by right without any additional entitlements or approvals from planning or the Board of Zoning Appeals would be far more impactful than what is proposed. I mean, the shadows from what can be built by right, and I think that is relevant in this setting. Again, the 12 stories, it's important to point out the topography of this site, and the 12 stories is basically from the bottom of a pit going up. So it's not at the high point of the property, it's at the lowest point of the property. So we believe that nothing has changed since the 2024 approval that would warrant a disapproval. We do believe we, again, meet all of the standards and request your approval.
I have a question. I mean, it's been a minute since the application, but my memory serves me, there was quite a bit more information, I think, in the
I have the packet that we submitted that has all of the different elevations and I don't know if those are on the slides or not at this point.
I'm probably just misremembering what was.
Well, I'm having trouble getting oriented as well. I mean, it has been 2 years, and is there?
Oh, the files must have.
Yeah, where? So, could you go back?
Yeah.
Okay, Ligon is there.
And Fern is the next block over, like where that overpass is, if you can see it, that's Fern.
Fern, okay. And that's what we were seeing, this is looking at Ligon and Fern?
Yes.
Okay, which is different now.
Like, right, and this is Fern right here. Like, this is the back, these houses are the back, this is Ligon.
Okay, I think I see that.
Yeah, like, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, I do not have hands of a surgeon.
And can we see the sections that will show us the properties that are along Ligon and how tall building, I guess it's building 3, is that right? That's the one that's up against Ligon? So it's this one? Okay, and so the 12 stories is from a grade that's lower than Ligon right now. So the proposed building will be how many stories or how much taller than the ones on Ligon at that point?
There may be a slide that shows building 1 and 2. I think there's one that shows them together. It's some higher, but it's not significantly higher.
Looks like a story and a half,
Yeah, I
perhaps?
want to say 2 stories.
That's proposed, not existing.
Look back to the one that shows Ligon. Okay. And the pink is,
The pink is what could be done.
What could be built under the base zoning by right.
and that says 98 feet to the top of the orange, not the pink, I guess.
Yeah, so again, the pink and orange aren't part of the gray is what is proposed to be built. The pink and gray are just showing the building massing that you could have under the base zoning code.
For the properties that are that are not part of your project, correct?
No, they're on the CS, the Ligon property is on CS.
The ones that are shown as CS here is not part of your project, right? There's a new private access road.
Correct, yeah, it kind of makes a little cutout there.
And those properties shown as CS that are not part of your property are, I think we see in the photo, they're 3 stories now. So maybe they're 45 feet tall at most.
They're all, I don't remember all of those being built.
No, that seems to be new.
Christina, those CS properties are circled, those are these
Right
here.
there. Okay, but now there's been more built there? I'm just trying to find Ligon on this one.
Yeah, so, this one, Ligon's running right through here, east to west. Dickerson Pike's on the right-hand side. White's Creek's on the left-hand side.
Okay.
This photo that,
Can't be seen on the photo, it's too high. The bottom of the house is.
Down there is Ligon.
The very bottom of
Okay.
the line is the house. They're only 2 stories.
So we can't see it here, okay. I guess I'm somewhat oriented. Does anyone else have questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I have a last question. Are there any other developments similar to this that are fairly close by?
I honestly don't know.
Okay.
I know every time I drive over there, there's something new, but,
There's one, Mr. Ransom, there's one to the southeast of here. Let me pull up the aerial, I'll show you. There's this development, obviously not as tall, but what is it, 8 stories, 9? This is at Dickerson. This is where Whites Creek forks and goes to the northwest, which brings you up to the applicant's site. Sorry. Scan
It's
it.
about a mile away.
Yeah,
This
about
is
that.
close to the intersection of Douglas and Dickerson Road. Cleveland, this is at Cleveland and Dickerson Road, what he just showed you, and that's about a mile south coming towards town.
Yep. And then the subject site's right, getting there. There we go. That's the subject site to the north. There you go.
And I would also say about the one he just showed, like the concentration of that development is on Dickerson. It doesn't impact Whites Creek. This development's a little bit different because half of it fronts Dickerson and the other half fronts Whites Creek. And Whites Creek, as the opposition mentioned, is a 2-lane road. So one way going in, one way going out, whereas Dickerson, of course, is a larger corridor.
Is the public hearing still open?
It is, yes.
No, I have no question to the applicant.
Okay, if there's no more questions, was there anything else you'd like to say?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll close the public hearing then.
May I ask a question to our legal representative? Because I am having a hard time how to take this application. It seems to me, I was not there when it's approved, but it says order, regardless of my feeling, seems like if this application is the exact same application, seems like as a board, it was already settled matter and no change. So how should we approach this matter? Are we allowed to treat as a new application and deliver it, or are we treat this as the exact same plan and no material difference?
So what I'd say is, as the zoning administrator said, it's a new application, so you would need to review it as such. However, if there have been changes over, it would be advisable if their board is going to speak to articulate any changes or different feelings that the board may have if there have been changes in that period.
So I'm still listening, and so I'm interested in the perspectives of my fellow members. From my perspective, because it is a new case, and I think we did get additional evidence, like with the photos and everything else, which we are allowed to review, just like anybody else comes with new pictures and stuff. We look at what they present. I do think, especially when I think about the earlier case that we hear, this is a special exception. And because we are looking at it under the lens of a special exception, I do get to look at light, shadow, air. I get to look at that because that's what it's here as. And so from my perspective, I understand the concentration on Dickerson, but as you go back, that's sort of the problem with Nashville. That's the tension that we live in. All of our corridors have residential neighborhoods right behind them. And I think that's what planning and everybody else always tries to balance. And here, this is right up against a residential neighborhood. And I think normally we front that on Dickerson, which makes sense because Dickerson is a major corridor. But as you go back into a neighborhood and you go back into Ligon, and Fern isn't but a block off, I do think it should step down because I do think there's an impact on light, shadow, and air. And to account for that, it needs to step back some. So from my perspective, it doesn't meet. I think there is evidence that this negatively impacts neighboring properties, and it does have a negative impact on light, shadow, and air. And for that reason, I'm not supportive, but like I said, I have a builder, I have an architect, I have Member Johnson with all of her expertise, so I'm still listening and I'm willing to change my initial thoughts, but that's my first look at this.
I mean, I would agree with everything you said. It does back up to Whites Creek, but that's also right behind 24. And it is, this is odd. We have a lot of these kind of what you would call dense urban special exceptions, kind of almost parachuting into the middle of an residential district. Sometimes it affects the whole neighborhood. Sometimes it affects just one or two homes. What people can get passed on a special exception is pretty exceptional. And they do have to kind of check a lot of these ambiguous boxes that are hard to pin down as far as where's the point of delineation, whether it's it's adverse or not. But I mean, the sum of all things, I agree with you in a lot of ways that it could step down in some capacity. There's 4 buildings, right? So I can see where you're coming from. But, and as the applicant said, it does sit in a little bit of a valley, or I forget the word that he used, but it's still, 80 plus feet beyond that. And over 2.5-story homes, it's pretty looming to some degree. So I'm on the fence. I think I'd be less on the fence if I saw something that stepped down and maybe certain parts of the building are taller in certain areas, and certain parts of the buildings are shorter. I know this is a massive project and there's a lot of complexities to it. It'd be different if we didn't have that line of residential homes along Fern as well, but we do, so.
Fern is densely populated with residential homes. That's all that's on Fern. And if you go down Fern and you can go going down into Brick Church Pike and some other homes, that's mainly, if there are businesses back there, there are micro businesses. They're like 1-story garages and stuff like that, but they're all the way back when you're going towards like World Baptist Center and further down. But in the immediate area of this neighborhood, Fern is all residential. There's nothing on Fern but residential.
And all the ones on Ligon, am I pronouncing it correctly?
I guess, my struggle is because of the what base zoning allow, because what I see from the proposal, this picture is base zoning allowed much higher than what proposed. So if they, applicant follow the base zoning and then try to build, they have by rights to build that much higher structure. And that will have more adverse effect on the shadow and air, possibly. So that's why, this plan is portion of the building which, triangular, instead of going up, just sticking out the triangular part. So therefore, maybe by much less shadow than, by rights allowance. And I think that's why I'm assuming that's the reason it was approved as a special exception, because special exception is only applied to that triangular portion. Because by right, they can build this much. And so applicant demonstrated, instead of going up, please allow us to go higher in this triangular portion. I think that was the application. So at that time, majority agreed upon that time. So to me, exact same plan, and I do have feeling, yes, I do understand it. It's not easy to see like nothing built on the ground, and then all of a sudden, even though currently it's an open space, but yes, if anybody wants to do, yes, a 30-story building can be allowed because of the plan and because of the policy, because of the corridor, and which sometimes, plan on the paper and imagining living right next to it, a totally different feeling. I totally get that. But just looking at rules and regulations as plan, and then based on that, asking a special exception and allowing special exception and settle, seems like exact same plan settled issue. And so kind of I'm struggling to kind of not seeing that portion.
Okay, I'll have to admit, something with these drawings and the colors and something I'm still not remembering from last time, and maybe I had this struggle last time, and I might have to ask the applicant something, unless you all can answer it. Can we go to the drawing again, that's section 2? Okay, so that section 2 has, I see a CF from left to right. We have CS zoning, Ligon, CS zoning, the drive, then private new access road is purple, right? And then we see garage, and then we see above garage, amenity, and then above that, we see a taupe color. And does anyone know if that taupe color, because it's not matching the plan, is that taupe color residential that's along the CS zoned area, that's along Ligon? If no one can answer that, I'll have to ask the applicant if that's, maybe I should just ask if that's okay. Y'all,
Yeah, go ahead.
all right, I'll open the public hearing to ask that question.
I mean, above where it says.
Amenity.
I believe that's all residential.
And that's residential, that's gonna be directly adjacent to the CS zoned area.
Yeah, and if you see the kind of purple area in the middle, we've actually stepped it back that amount, which isn't required by CS. So by CS, it could go all the way over. So it has been stepped back there to create that spacing and light.
The residential, that is. Okay. Hold on.
Sorry, 1 second.
No, that's okay. So over that garage, there's residential. It's not a wrap. Do you know what I mean by a wrap?
I do know, and I don't have the rendering showing that. I just have the massing, so I can't say.
Because it looks to me that there's just a garage there with no residential above it, but this section maybe indicates that. Because it's strange that there's an amenity on top of the garage and then residential.
Yeah, I agree, and unfortunately, I just don't know.
Because that, if the residential is not there, and it's somewhere in the distance along, like we're seeing it in the distance along Dickerson, that's a whole different story than what this is somewhat indicating. Because it is indicating it's quite a bit taller than what is now on the CS zoned parcels.
I would say having some renderings would be exceptionally helpful.
Yeah, having having a little bit more clarity would certainly help the case. I mean, I understand there's a lot here, it's just hard to discern what's what.
I mean, would you be open to a deferral?
Yes.
So that we can bring back.
Well, I would personally, but we'll have to ask them, but yeah.
More renderings?
Yeah.
Public hearing closed?
Yeah, unless we think we need to open it. I would be in favor of that, but I'd have to ask the board members.
Yeah, I'd be in favor. Be
Yeah,
nice to have a few more
if
people
we
here too, maybe.
defer, what I would like to see the light study when you submit it at that time to just fully understand.
I feel like there was one last time, but that was when my call out of picking, I think, light at high noon or something.
picked it at the ideal time.
Yeah.
We need to see more times
Yeah.
during the day and
Like, I wanna see
year.
like, different times a year. Like, I think they should be in 2-hour intervals. This is a huge project.
Joey, did you guys ever get any formalization on when they do light studies to say this time, these times a year or anything? So we're all looking at the same?
There are not specifications from us toward the design community saying these are the hours we want.
Would be nice to have,
You can ask them.
you know.
You can ask them.
I don't know where Nashville sits and where the sun moves. I'm just saying, as a whole, it'd be nice that every applicant would know with the longitude and latitude, here are the hours and the days. So every time we're looking at a light study, we're looking at the same times, longitude and latitude. So it's not saying that this applicant or any other applicant is doing anything on purpose, but it is very easy to show an aggressive
You are,
shadow study.
as a board, you're well within your rights to ask them for specific information that helps you render a decision, whether it's a specific times of day, specific times of year.
Well, we sometimes get all the solstice, both equinox, and we get it like at 9, 12, 3, 6, something like that.
Yeah,
I know in the winter 6 wouldn't matter, but.
Be onerous, but I'm assuming if it's in a program, it doesn't take but a few clicks to
I would
display a
hope.
few other times.
Yeah,
I mean, I would just say, you know, it's hard for me to tell you exactly what days and what time of year in this, but just have common sense to display a reasonable light study, you know.
Someone smarter than I am.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
not when the sun's directly over the building, right? Like that.
Yeah,
So-
I think the equinoxes, and like what I said earlier, is what we see a lot. And then just really an understanding of what is actually being built against the CS zone properties that the neighbors are questioning. That would be helpful, I think. And unless there's anything else, we can close the public hearing and make a motion. No, we're good? Okay, so we'll close the public hearing, and I should have asked how long that would take, one meeting?
What is the expiration date, Joey, of the?
It was, bear with me 1 second.
May 16th, it was granted May 16th.
Okay, so we will close the public hearing, and I'll make a motion to defer to the May 7th meeting. There's a second motion and a second. All in favor, raise their hand. So that is approved to defer to May 7th. Thanks.
Okay. With that, members, that adjourns this meeting. We're done with business. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.